My name is Daniel, and I never imagined that the people I loved the most, my own brothers, would abandon me on the biggest day of my life, my wedding. But what happened later shocked me even more. When they saw the life I built, the mansion, the luxury cars, and the success they never believed I could achieve, they suddenly remembered I existed. I wasn't always wealthy. In fact, I grew up being called the useless dreamer of the family. My father passed away when I was young, and my brothers took control of everything, our family business, decisions, even my future. They said I had no ambition and would be a burden forever. So when I invited them to my wedding, they refused. No calls, no messages, nothing, just silence. But life has a strange way of turning. Years later, when they saw me step out of a black Mercedes in front of a mansion with my wife, everything changed. Suddenly, they wanted to talk. They wanted to fix things. They wanted me back. And that's where this story truly begins. My name is Daniel, the youngest of 3 brothers. After our father passed away when I was just 14, life shifted overnight. My brothers, Michael and Aaron, took over everything. Our home, the family shop, and every decision in the house. I became more like a guest than family. They didn't hate me, they simply didn't believe in me. I always dreamed of becoming an engineer, but my brothers thought dreams were useless. "Stop living in fantasies," Michael would say. "You're not meant for big things." Still, I studied secretly at night and applied for scholarships. When I got accepted to a university in the city, I believed, just for a moment, that they would be proud. Instead, they smirked and said I'd come back home as a failure. I left with 1 suitcase, a scholarship, and $200. Years passed. I graduated, struggled, and built a small tech startup with nothing but determination. Failure came many times, but I kept trying. When I met Emily, kind-hearted and my biggest supporter, I knew I wanted her as my wife. I invited my brothers to the wedding. I texted, I called, I sent formal invitations. No response. On the wedding day, I stood waiting at the altar, hoping they would walk in at the last moment. They never did. After the wedding, days passed in silence. Emily gently told me, "The ones who ignore your happiness don't deserve your success." Her words became my strength. I didn't seek revenge. I simply decided to become someone they could never ignore again. After the wedding, I buried the pain deep inside and focused entirely on my work. My tech company was still small, but I believed in it the same way no one once believed in me. I spent sleepless nights coding, researching, and meeting investors who often doubted me just like my brothers did. But unlike them, I didn't give up. Months turned into years. Slowly, our software gained attention. One investor took a chance on us, and soon after, things began to change. Our company expanded, we hired a team, and our first big contract brought in more money than I had ever seen in my life. Emily stayed by my side through every failure and every success. We moved into a modest apartment first, and then, 5 years later, we stood in front of a massive white mansion with glass windows, a green lawn, and a driveway where a black Mercedes was parked. It didn't feel real. It didn't feel like the same boy who once left home with $200. Life was peaceful. Until one afternoon I received a message. It was from Michael. "Daniel, is it true? You own that big house near the lake?" A second message came from Aaron. "We heard about your company. Can we meet?" My hands froze. These were the same brothers who ignored my wedding invitation, who never called once in years, not even to ask if I was alive. And now suddenly, they wanted to meet? Emily looked at me gently and said, "You don't have to prove anything to them, but you can choose how this story ends." I took a deep breath and replied, "Sure. Come this Sunday." Not for revenge, but for closure. Sunday arrived faster than I expected. The morning was calm, the sunlight reflecting softly against the glass walls of our mansion. Yet inside me a storm raged. After years of silence, I was about to meet the brothers who once abandoned me. I wasn't sure if I was ready, but I knew I wasn't the same helpless boy anymore. At exactly 11 a.m., I heard the sound of a car in the driveway. Emily held my hand and whispered, "You're strong. Just be honest. With them and with yourself." I nodded. Michael and Aaron stepped out of their car, both dressed neatly, their expressions uncertain. They looked around, the mansion, the perfectly trimmed garden, the luxury car parked outside. Their eyes widened with disbelief. Michael was the first to speak. "Daniel, this place is yours?" "Yes," I replied calmly. Inside the house, they glanced at the expensive furniture, the grand staircase, the family photos of me and Emily smiling together. For a while, no one spoke. Then Aaron broke the silence. "We didn't know you became this successful. We're proud of you." Proud? The word felt heavy, almost insulting. Proud of a brother they once refused to stand beside on his wedding day? I looked directly at them and asked, "Were you proud when you ignored my calls, when you didn't show up at my wedding, when you left me alone?" They shifted uncomfortably. Michael sighed. "We were busy, and we didn't think you'd actually make it." There it was, the truth. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I simply said, "You didn't think I was worth your time, until now." Their faces fell. For the first time, they had nothing to say. For a moment, the room was completely silent. My brothers sat across from me, their eyes lowered, as if they were finally seeing the consequences of their choices. The pain I once carried wasn't burning anymore. It was calm, like ashes after a long fire. Aaron finally spoke, his voice low. "Daniel, we're sorry. We were wrong. We thought chasing our business was more important than anything else. We didn't know you'd make it on your own." I looked at them, not with anger, but with clarity. "It's not about success or money," I said softly. "It's about respect. You didn't believe in me. You didn't stand by me when I needed you the most. And now that I have a big house and a nice car, you suddenly remember I'm your brother?" Michael's eyes were wet. "Can we start over? We want to be a family again." Their words sounded sincere, but trust is not something that returns in a day. I took a slow breath. Emily stood behind me silently, supporting whatever my decision would be. "I forgive you," I said. Both looked up, surprised. "But things will never be the same. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. I'm willing to have you in my life, but only if you truly mean it. No more pride, no more judgments." They nodded quietly. We shared coffee that afternoon. No loud laughter, no perfect ending, just a quiet beginning, not of the past, but of something new. As they left, Michael said, "You've become stronger than we ever imagined." Maybe I had. I didn't build this life to prove them wrong. I built it to prove myself right, and that made all the difference. Sometimes family isn't defined by blood, but by those who stand with you when the world turns its back. Daniel's story isn't just about success, wealth, or a mansion. It's about pain, heartbreak, and the courage to rise, alone. He didn't chase riches to impress anyone. He built his life to prove that kindness, patience, and hard work are not weaknesses. They're strengths. His brothers came back when they saw his wealth. But what they truly saw was the man they never believed he could become. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but it frees the heart from carrying its weight forever. In the end, Daniel didn't win by having more money. He won by having peace, self-respect, and someone who believed in him when no one else did. And maybe that's the real success.